Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. We are on to the next lecture on thermodynamics, and in today's video we will be talking about the limitations of first law of thermodynamics, spontaneous, non-spontaneous processes, and second law of thermodynamics, introduction part. Now first let's see what is first law of thermodynamics limitations. We have already discussed what is first law of thermodynamics. It mainly focuses upon conservation of energy. For that I have already posted the video. Conservation of energy. That means energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. If one system loses energy, it goes to the another one. So the overall sum remains the same. In a way, it can also be said that the change in the energy of the universe is always zero. That means if one loses, another one gains. If system loses, surrounding will gain. If surrounding loses, system will gain. Right? So the main limitation of this theory is it gives no information about the spontaneity of the reaction. About whether this reaction will occur or it will not occur. It only says energy is transferred from one form to another. For example, we have discussed that hot object becomes cold on its own. It becomes, so that means this is occurring, in which energy from here, from the system, is going to the surrounding. Water always flows down the hill. Water flows down the hill. Okay, it always flows. Suppose you throw water from the top, it will go down. It will always flow down. Never we see water flowing upwards. So this is occurring. Okay, in this, what is the energy transformation occurring? In this, the potential energy, on the height, there is potential energy. Potential energy is converted into kinetic energy. So it decreases. So energy is converted from one form to another form. Diffusion of the gases. The diffusion of the gases is also a process which normally occurs. So in that, what happens, the gas molecules which were earlier held by some forces, okay, so there is some binding energy between them. So when it is released, it gets converted into kinetic energy and they start moving here and there. But if we consider reverse process, don't think why I have written all this. These are all reverse processes. Can we ever imagine cold object becoming hot on its own? Water flowing up the hill, diffusion of the gases is taking place, normally occurs from high pressure to low pressure. Suppose I say diffusion of the gases, normally it is from high pressure to low pressure. But can it occur in the reverse manner? No. All these processes which are written, they cannot occur. But these processes can occur. Hot object can become cold. Water can flow down the hill. From high pressure, the diffusion will always occur towards low pressure. But the reverse cannot occur. So this first law of thermodynamics does not talk about any criteria for the spontaneity of the process, about the feasibility of the process. It is only saying that energy is conserved. Okay, to introduce that, the spontaneity part, let us first understand what do you mean by the term spontaneous process. Now, spontaneous process is that which has an urge, to occur on its own, without initiation or with initiation. So there are two processes, in which we can consider they can be a spontaneous process. Spontaneous process is that which has an urge to occur on its own, without initiation or with initiation. There are certain processes which we don't have to do anything. They will occur on their own. For example, if you add sugar or you add salt to water, you take a container, add water to it and just add salt. So even if you don't stir, this will get dissolved in it. Sugar will get dissolved. Only thing is, if you are stirring it or you are heating it, the dissolution will be faster, but it will otherwise also get dissolved. Evaporation of water. Throw water on the floor or leave a container having water, it will evaporate. River ponds, from there the water gets evaporated. So evaporation is a spontaneous process. So this side I have written the processes which are spontaneous without initiation. You don't have to do anything, but still they will occur. Heat flows from hot object to cold object. Okay, water flows down the hill. Hydrogen and iodine, they combine to form HI. These are all spontaneous processes without initiation. With initiation means you have to do something to allow that process to occur. For example, lighting the candle. You have to light it. Okay, so it is by lighting, ignition has to be done. So when you just put a matchstick, it will start burning. Light a matchstick and then put it on the candle, it will start burning. Any combustion reaction you can have. Okay, decomposition. Decomposition means calcium carbonate, until and unless you start heating, it will not decompose. But once you start heating, it will decompose and form calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. It becomes a spontaneous process then. Hydrogen and oxygen, nothing will happen. You can store for years together. But if electric spark is passed through them, then they will combine and they will form water. Then it becomes a spontaneous process, but initiation has to be given. Electric spark has to be passed through them, then they will react and form water. Combustion, not necessarily methane, any hydrocarbon you can take, they will always undergo combustion and will form carbon dioxide. But only thing, they have to be burned. So once burned, they will react and form carbon dioxide and water. Now, what are non-spontaneous processes? Which have no urge. The same definition you can write, which have no urge to occur on their own with or without initiation. They cannot occur on their own. Okay, so they cannot occur, which have no urge, or we can say which cannot occur. For non-spontaneous processes, they cannot occur. Okay, for example, you can have water flowing up the hill. Water cannot flow up the hill. It's a non-spontaneous process. Flow of heat from cold to hot end. Diffusion of gases from low to high. Examples which I wrote in the limitations of the first law of thermodynamics, they can all be non-spontaneous processes. Dissolution of sand in water. You cannot dissolve it in water. That's a non-spontaneous process. So far what I have told you is limitations of first law of thermodynamics and what is a spontaneous process, what is a non-spontaneous process. Then we have to understand what is the criteria for the spontaneity of the reaction. Criteria. Okay, so to understand the criteria, we have to see what is a driving force. Now, what is driving force? Driving force is the force which is responsible for the spontaneity of the reaction. Force that is responsible, which is causing it to occur. TANEIT. Yes, which is responsible for the spontaneity of the process. What is pulling the reaction in the forward direction? Which is allowing the reaction to occur? Which is forcing the reaction to occur in one direction only, not in the other direction. That is called as a driving force. So the first criteria for the spontaneity of the reaction is given as delta H negative. Actually, what all reactions were spontaneous, so this criteria was tested for fitting into these criterias. For example, the first one, it is saying flow of energy down the hill. Energy is decreased, potential energy lowers, so energy is lowered of the system. This is fitting into the criteria. Heat flowing from hot to cold. Any object hot is there, suppose it is giving out heat to the surrounding, so there is loss of heat in it, therefore it is spontaneous. Means we can say all exothermic reactions were considered to be spontaneous according to the first criteria. Combustion. In combustion also the heat is liberated. All combustion reactions are exothermic reactions. So this criteria was very much fitting into most of the reactions, but at the same time there were limitations of the first law. The first criteria, that is the delta H negative criteria. The limitations for that were evaporation. Evaporation, we are talking about liquid converting to gas. So this is endothermic reaction. It is endothermic. You have to heat. Even if we are not heating it, the system is absorbing heat from the surrounding to get converted into gas. So it is an endothermic process. Dissolution of, say, any kind of salt. I've written with reference to NaCl. So that NaCl is having Na plus and Cl minus. So there is lattice enthalpy which is holding these ions together. So this is to be broken down into cation and anion. So this is also endothermic process. So these are some examples of endothermic I've written. Decomposition, calcium carbonate which was heated to form calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide. It's an endothermic process, but still it occurs. So that is not fitting into the first criteria of delta H negative. Another one is some reactions have delta H 0. For example, when acetic acid reacts with ethyl alcohol, it forms ethyl acetate plus water. It's a reversible reaction. For reversible reactions, we say that delta H is 0, but still they occur. Because for forward, if it is exo, backward will be endothermic, the overall delta H value becomes 0. So for these reactions, they should not be occurring, but still they occur. So these are all limitations of the first criteria, that is delta H negative criteria. Clear? So if the first criteria is not fitting into, the second criteria was given. The second criteria for the spontaneity was given as the tendency for randomness. Randomness was considered to be entropy. Entropy, we represent entropy by S. In detail, entropy we will take in the next lecture, but as of now you can just see if delta S is positive, if the randomness is increasing in the reaction, then that process is considered to be spontaneous. That is also fitting into some of the reactions, for example, evaporation. Liquid is converted to gas in evaporation. So in liquid, molecules are arranged, and in gases they are, comparatively more disordered than liquid. Okay, so in this, randomness is increasing. Dissolution is organized. For example, NaCl, Na plus and Cl minus ions are held by some forces, electrostatic forces of attraction. When you dissolve them in water, it will split up into ion, the cation and anion. So ions start moving randomly here and there. So dissolution. Decomposition, calcium carbonate, if you take, this is solid, on heating it will form calcium oxide, which is also solid, plus carbon dioxide, which is gas. So carbon dioxide is formed, that means gas amount has increased. So it is also having randomness increased. So these examples the second criteria is fitting, but first criteria was not fitting. They are all endothermic reactions, but first criteria is not fitting into these, second criteria is fitting. So what will be the final criteria? We will talk about it. First, let us consider the limitations of the randomness criterion. Liquefaction of gas. Liquefaction of the gas means gas is converted to liquid. Solidification of liquid. Liquid converted to solid. If this is the criteria, then these processes should not be occurring. But even then you find that there is liquefaction or solidification occurring, though with initiation, but it is possible. So what is the final criteria? The final criteria is the Gibbs energy criteria. The Gibbs energy, the third criteria, we will talk about in the next videos. Okay, so let us first consider some examples where delta H or delta S. As of now, we have studied that delta H should be negative for the process to be spontaneous and S should be positive for the process to be spontaneous. So then how do we account for these reactions happening? How do we account for these reactions as spontaneous? Let us see that. Evaporation. In evaporation, we are saying this is positive. This is positive. Delta H is positive, but randomness, yes, it is positive. So this is, let us write down the criteria. Whatever is happening in them, then favorable we will write down. Liquefaction. It is converting gas to liquid. Gas to liquid means it is, converting from more random part to the less random part. Means the entropy part is decreasing, and it is giving out energy to the surrounding because gases are coming closer. In liquid to gas it was endothermic, so gas to liquid it is exothermic. Solidification, liquid to solid. Liquid to solid, again delta H is negative. Randomness is decreasing. Dissolution, in dissolution it is positive, delta H is positive because that bond between the cation and ion is breaking, and in terms of the randomness this is positive. Decomposition, this is endothermic, so delta H is positive and the randomness is also positive. So let us see which is favorable condition for them. This, if we consider the first one, this is not favored, but this is favored. In this case this is favored, this one not favorable. Here this is favorable, this is not favorable. Delta H not favorable, but this is favorable. Decomposition not favorable, delta S criteria favorable. So then if you have one favorable, another one not favorable, whichever is more favorable, that is allowing the reactions to occur. So that means it is not just one criteria, that is delta H or S, for the reaction to occur. Overall we have to see which is more favorable for the reaction. So as per that the reaction is occurring. Okay, though we will consider the Gibbs energy also, that is the final criteria for the spontaneity of the reaction. These are some of the statements for second law of thermodynamics which is related to spontaneous process or entropy. See, it says the first bit, there are actually various statements that we have written just to understand it with what is the relation between the spontaneous or the entropy with the second law. All spontaneous processes are thermodynamically irreversible. Say water is flowing down the hill, it cannot go up. So all spontaneous processes are thermodynamically irreversible. Hot object becomes cold, but it cannot become hot on its own again. Entropy of the universe is continuously increasing. Entropy of the universe is continuously increasing. This is the second statement. Disorder is always increasing in the universe. Third statement for it, without the help of external agency, spontaneous process cannot be reversed. For example, if we are saying that the hot object can become cold, but cold object cannot become hot on its own. You can do it, but only thing is the external agency has to be required. Water flows down, it cannot flow up, but motor, if it is there, it can allow that water to go up. So these are the three important statements of second law of thermodynamics. Okay, so please practice whatever we have done in this video. In the next videos I will be discussing about entropy and Gibbs energy. With that we can complete the chapter thermodynamics. Thank you.